Hey math fans, it's Test 5 Lesson 3. Grab your swords and let's get started. Today we will be ordering integers, drawing models for improper fractions, and rounding numbers. And we will start by ordering integers. And just to remind you, an integer is a number with no fraction, so it's any whole numbers, so it can be 0, 1, 2, 3, or any negative number is an integer. So our problem here is that Zoe has to memorize a bunch of dates for her huge social studies test tomorrow. And we are going to help her out by putting them on a number line. So let's take a look at the dates she needs to memorize. So here we go. Zoe has 4 important dates in Canadian history. 1867, the British North America Act creates the Dominion of Canada. In 1982, the Constitution Act is signed. In 1876, the Indian Act is created, and in 1999, the Territory of Nunavut is created. An act in this case, by the way, is just like it's like a document that does something. So the British North America Act was a document that made Canada its own, not exactly country, but dominion, its own area. So when you're ordering your integers, or in this case making a number line, the first thing we're going to do is put the dates in order from least to greatest. And when I compare numbers, I always want to start by looking at the greatest place value. So I'm going to start in the thousands, but they're all ones, so that doesn't help me. Next, I'm going to move to the hundreds, and I've got 2 9s and 2 8s. So the 2 8s are going to come first, I know that. Next, I'll go to the 10s, and I've got a 6 and a 7. 6 comes before 7, so this will come first. This will come second. Now I'm going to go back to my 9s. 19 and 19, that doesn't really help me, so I'll look at the 10s. I have an 8 and a 9, which means this one comes next, and this guy comes last. So now they're in order. I know it goes 1867, 1876, 1982, and 1999. So now I have my dates in order. So now that I have my dates in order to put them on a number line, I need to find out how long my number line is going to be, and I'm going to do that by finding the span of years. Span of years is just a fancy word for how many years I'm covering. And to do that, I need to find the range. And the way you find the range of something is you take the biggest number and you subtract the smallest number. So if I had 10, 11, 12, 15, no, 15 is not fitting in there, I'll put it down here. My range would be 15 minus 10. I have a range of 5. In this case, I'm going to do 1999, take away 1867, which gives me 132. So my range of years is 132. The reason I add 1 is just to make sure that my number line will cover everything. So the span of years we are studying is going to be 133 years. So next up, I'm going to use my ruler to draw the line and decide on a scale. I want my number line to be spaced nice and evenly, and 133 years is way too long to use a notch for every year. So I think I'm going to do 1 centimeter for every 10 years. Now 133 doesn't divide nice and evenly by 10, so I'm going to have to do some rounding, and that's okay. I'll round up to 140. And if I go 140 years divided by, let's say, or I said I'm going to make each centimeter 10 years, my line is going to be 14 centimeters long. So I'm going to make a line now that will be 14 centimeters. So I went ahead and enlarged it for this step just to make life a little easier. And what we're going to do now is label our years. We're going up by tens. So we're going to start with the first decade before 1867, which is 1860, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in my years. So there you go. Now my number line is labeled, 10 years for every centimeter, and I can move on to the last step. So for step 6, we're going to add the years we're studying to their approximate place on the number line. And we'll start with the first one, which was 1867, when the British North America Act created the Dominion of Canada, and that's going to go in between 1860 and 1870, close to 1870. Then I can add in my second event, which was in 1876 when the Indian Act was created, and that obviously will go in between 1870 and 1880. Next, I can add my third event, which was in 1982 when the Constitution Act was signed. And my final event will be the creation of Nunavut in 1999, which will be right up by 2000. And there you have it. I've ordered my years, I've found a range, I've created a timeline. It's very beautiful, and I'm ready to study. And now that we can do that, we're going to move on and talk about how to draw models for improper fractions. And once again, we're going to do steps because they're fun. So, steps to modeling an improper fraction. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the denominator of our fraction, which will tell me how many pieces are in each whole. So here is the improper fraction 7/5, and the denominator is 5, which tells me that each whole will have 5 pieces. And just to make this easier to visualize, I'm going to pretend we're talking about a chocolate bar. So that means that each whole chocolate bar has been cut into 5 pieces, and I have 7 pieces. So next I'm going to draw a hole with the correct number of pieces and shade them in, and then I'm going to subtract this number from the numerator to see how many pieces I still need to color. So what that means is I'm going to start by drawing a chocolate bar with 5 pieces. So that's one whole chocolate bar because each whole chocolate bar is cut into 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know I have at least 5 pieces of chocolate, so I'm going to color them all in. So there we go. I've got 5 pieces of chocolate colored in. I have more than 5 though. I have 7. So how many pieces do I still need to color? I have 7 pieces. I've already colored 5. I need 2 more pieces, which means I'm going to need another chocolate bar. So think of this like if you had to give 7 pieces of chocolate to your cousin. You can't just buy 1 chocolate bar and then go to the store and say, can I break off 2 more pieces? Would that be okay? And I'll just buy 2 pieces. They're going to look at you like you're a crazy person and tell you, no, you have to buy another whole chocolate bar. So I need another whole chocolate bar, so next I'm going to draw that. So there's another whole chocolate bar with 5 pieces in it. And I need to color in 2 more, so I'm going to do that. And there you have it. I've drawn 7/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces are colored, and there are 5 pieces in each whole chocolate bar. And again, here you have to remember, I know in younger grades they sometimes tell you 5 on the bottom means there's 5 pieces, but there aren't 5 pieces. In this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. The 5, the denominator, tells you how many pieces are in one whole, not how many pieces there are altogether. It's telling you how many pieces are in one whole. And that brings us to the review. I know we haven't done rounding yet, but you have a Maths Mansion to watch for that. So, number 1, create a number line with the numbers 4, 2, -8, -10, and 5. Number 2, round these numbers to the nearest 10, 45, and 11,893. And I would just jot those down, and then you can do that after you watch Maths Mansion. And 3, draw pictures to illustrate the following improper fractions. A is 9/5 and B is 12/3. So pause the video here to do number 1 and 3, and when you come back, I'll send you to the Maths Mansion. So the URL for the Maths Mansion is www.tinyurl.com/maths with an S, mansion round. And as usual, if you can't find it, just go to YouTube and Google Maths Mansion rounding machine, and it'll come up. So go watch that and have a great night.